better money choices. Choose a bank that takes your money seriously. Business Watch is brought to you by Nedbank.
Yeah, 1400 hours Central African time. A very good afternoon and welcome to Nedbank Business Watch. You know, Nedbank says make better money choices, and they say time is money, and I think right about this time you've made a better money choice by tuning into Nedbank Business Watch. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Sifiso Ngumalo and I'm with Lungelele. Kucho, how are you?
I'm good. Do you make better money choices?
I mean, I'm here. It's time for Nedbank Business Watch, and I think if they say time is money, I've made a better money choice. And surely, coming up on the show today, we are going to look at a very interesting development where in about exactly 2 weeks, we have seen His Majesty King Eswatini III turning vision into action from setting a billion emalangeni target, I beg your pardon, for local businesses to rolling out set core support services across all Tinkhundla. His Majesty's message is clear: empower the people, create jobs, and deliver results. Now, from Hosea to the national stage, he's leading a push for accountability and tangible development. And today, we break down these developments with economist Sanellis Bia. Is this the beginning of a new era in economic leadership? And what does it mean for you, an ordinary Liswati?
Yeah, very good afternoon once again. My name is Lungelele Makakula. Today on the Nedbank segment, we recap to where we interviewed Mfanelo Dlamini, who is an SME relationship banker at Nedbank Eswatini, where he was telling us about the Nedbank Pocket Pause and Tap on Phone. So do stay tuned for that. And for our global markets today, global stock markets held steady for the most part on Wednesday as oil prices rose and gold prices fell following signs of a potential de-escalation in the U.S.-China trade spat. Investors appear to remain cautious about prospects for any breakthrough in tariff negotiations, though. The dollar was down for a fourth session and European stocks dropped. Meanwhile, China announced various stimulus measures on Wednesday, including rate cuts, more cash for the banking system, and the expansion of a channel that helps insurance money flow into stocks. But the big story remains what will happen with U.S.-China talks this weekend. All eyes will now turn to the Federal Reserve, which will release its latest policy decision today. Its assessment of the still uncertain trade and inflation picture will be watched closely, even though almost no one expects any move in interest rates on Wednesday. Nedbank's Treasury dealer Zibu will join us to analyze this. For now, let's take a look at our first story.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
Welcome back. You're still watching NetBank Business Watch, 4 minutes after 2. Thank you for staying with us. Just a quick reminder, we will be looking at some of the developments that have been happening, spearheaded by His Majesty King Eswatini III's leadership. And then Lungelele will be recapping you on the pocket pause. But right now, this is our business news segment, and thank you for staying with us.
Yes, do stay tuned for our interview with Mfanelo Dlamini. He's telling us about the NetBank Pocket Pause. It's quite a convenient device, especially convenient for small businesses such as, those that sell online shops, rather. They sell clothes or rather wigs. So do stay tuned for that interview with Mfanelo Dlamini. For now, let's take a look at our first story.
All right, this is our international news story where China says it is evaluating an offer from the United States to hold talks over tariffs as the trade war between the world's two biggest economies continues. We're seeing microchips that are front and center in the fight, and China needs them for its global tech ambitions, and right now, the US is still dominant in the market.
The US and China, the world's two biggest economies, are locked in an increasingly brutal battle for tech supremacy. Donald Trump has allowed temporary exemptions on smartphones and computers and other electronics from his punishing tariffs on China. But he believes that by reviving manufacturing of microchips on American soil, he can free the economy and turbocharge US tech, such as artificial intelligence.
We're number one in AI by far. We're leading China by a lot, by tremendous amounts.
Chinese leader Xi Jinping needs high-tech microchips to fulfill his dream of transforming China into a technology powerhouse. But China doesn't manufacture these chips or the machinery to make them. Microchips are invented in the US, and American companies command nearly half of the global chip market, compared with around 7% in China. Most of the world's chips are actually made in Asia, however. Supply chains have gone global. An Apple iPhone, for example, may contain chips that were designed in the US, manufactured in Taiwan, Japan, or South Korea, using rare earths which were mostly mined in China. Next, they may be sent to Vietnam for packaging, then to China for assembly and testing, before being shipped to the US. While China has been catching up with the US in areas like e-vehicles, green tech, and high-speed trains, it still trails in semiconductors. Experts believe China lags 5 years behind global leaders in commercial manufacturing of advanced logic chips. For that, Xi must rely on the US and its allies, and their willingness to share the technology. But restrictions have been imposed for some time on chips for China's defense industry. As the US and Chinese economies decouple at a dizzying pace, both depend on Taiwan, a US ally, for semiconductors. Taiwan, which China claims as its territory and repeatedly threatens to invade, is by far the world's biggest manufacturer of microchips. In the home of this chip-making colossus, the trade war could escalate into a hot war.
Vuselelo Fagutse, President of Business Eswatini, stressed the critical need for Eswatini to achieve energy sustainability to attract high-value investors. In a compelling statement ahead of next week's investment forum, Fagutse emphasized that the country's energy sustainability is pivotal to attracting high-value investors. He highlighted that Eswatini's current energy landscape, heavily reliant on imports, underscores the urgency for self-sufficiency.
High-value investors are going to come in Eswatini as soon as we're able to generate our own energy. We've had various consultations with them, and they say as soon as you are able to provide us with guaranteed electricity, we'll be able to set up our manufacturing plants in the kingdom. So that is why, as a bank and as a country, we're driving energy growth so that there's more generation of power, because as soon as we get there, we can then start to industrialize agriculture, to industrialize a lot of the Eswatini business sector and private sector, to ensure that we can create the real question that you're asking, which is high-value investors and better paying jobs for Eswatini. So it is in our interest to do that. The banking sector is not bad, to be honest. The sugar sector shouldn't be, so there are pockets of excellence in that, but I think we need more industries like that. So you are very correct. So we're hoping that this investor conference is going to do that. There are a lot of also mining opportunities that we expect those people to look at in the kingdom. There's lots of tourism activities that the kingdom has to offer. It's a beautiful country. So if we really market it well, the tourism sector can grow significantly. So I think there are a lot of untapped opportunities that we can still explore as a kingdom, but I just think we need to also attract the right investors to ensure that they can offer more value for money for Maswati. It's a journey. There's a lot of investment that needs to go into energy to be self-sufficient as a country. And I think Lower Makoduza is just one part of many, because that is 13.5 megawatts. Base load in this country, we need at least the minimum, as I understand it, at least plus minus 150 megawatts minimum. We peak at 250. But if there are more industries, obviously the demand is going to be much higher. So we do need to build capacity of in excess of 250 megawatts of power, and that's going to take billions of investments into the sector. We know that the companies in the sugar sector are also looking at using their biomass to generate power, and we encourage them and the Ministry of Natural Resources and the regulators to fast track all the projects that are in the energy sector, because that will really unlock the growth of this economy.
Mvuselelo Fagutse also doubles as a chairperson of the Eswatini Bankers Association, and he says every bank in the country is putting its full weight behind energy generation projects.
There is no bank that's operating anywhere in Africa today that can say they're not looking at energy, because the continent is 600 million people do not have access to electricity. So it's very important that we prioritize energy generation. So I know that every bank in the country, I know Nedbank is financing solar for farmers. Every bank in one way or the other is involved in this development. And in Zabayatu Song, see banking sector, and even the central bank is looking at greening their own building, which is a very noble idea. But I think we need more projects like that. So, and the banks in Eswatini do not have sufficient capital to finance all these projects. So we are tapping into world markets, the South African market, which are deep, and we're also talking to other development partners to make sure that liquidity and funding is made available for viable projects, because the money goes to viable projects. Once the project goes through feasibility studies and is proved viable, then sourcing the money is not the difficult part.
According to the Eswatini Electricity Company, the country imports approximately 80% of its electricity from neighboring countries, largely South Africa. To address this, the government has set an ambitious target to achieve 50% renewable energy in its electricity mix by 2030. Significant investments are being made in renewable energy infrastructure, including the construction of the new hydroelectric power plant and exploration of geothermal energy potential. For Nedbank Business Watch, Nelson Langamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa Mbabane.
All right, and that's it for our business news. It's 13 minutes after 2. You're still watching Business Watch, powered by Nedbank Eswatini.
Vision into action, as charted by His Majesty King Mswati III. That conversation with Saneless B after the break. Welcome back. In a fortnight of focused leadership, His Majesty King Mswati III has transformed vision into action, demonstrating a hands-on approach to Eswatini's economic and social development. Now, from setting an ambitious 1 billion emalangeni target for local businesses to directing decentralization of MSME support services through SEDCO offices across all Tinkhundla, the King has underscored the critical role of small and medium enterprises in driving economic growth. Now, in celebrating his 57th birthday, just 2 days ago, we saw this headline, the King combining spiritual reflection with a clarion call for job creation, where he urged the nation to move beyond rhetoric and deliver tangible results. His directive, and I quote, "We must stop being all talk and no action." It resonates a national mandate for accountability and progress. A week ago in Hosea, the King's commitment to community development was evident. He commissioned infrastructure projects as well as emphasized the importance of delivering on promises made to the people. Now, let's explore the implications of the King's recent actions. We want to analyze how these initiatives are shaping the future of Eswatini's economic landscape and what they mean for citizens across the kingdom with our economist, Sanela Sibia, who joins us via a telephone line today, a bit different. He's at a remote location that doesn't have the most favorable network connection, but we're happy to connect with him via his cell phone. Sanele, good afternoon to you and welcome to the program. We are learning, about this very, very ambitious target of 1 billion emalangeni for local businesses. But I want to understand in practical terms, what would it take for eMaswati entrepreneurs to tap into this kind of opportunity?
Good afternoon, Mr. Ngumalo, and I know thank you for having me. So one would have to basically start by commending His Majesty on actually putting his boots on the ground and really just trying to ensure that we're able to move things along. So in as much as we would have to discuss what it would take for Maswati to hit to this call to action and actually not get some is to start stepping into that 1 billion emalangeni call. So what we need to first understand that, Mr. Ngumalo, is first up we need to ensure that there is equality of opportunities, that's actually even in access to those big expenditure programs within government. So we need to make sure that local companies are involved in those. And also, I think I have to commend what His Majesty has actually done down at the Hosea, where he actually commissioned and quite a number of programs that are funded by the Rural Development Fund. So what one would then expect is for those public works programs that would work in those different areas, you would actually expect that the government, through that local, that local government level, that Nkundla level, would want to ensure that a lot of this work is done by those companies that have been funded by the Rural Development Fund. And also what we need to do, Mr. Ngumalo, is to ensure access to finance beyond the levels of the Rural Development Fund, where we make sure that our companies are actually in a position to get finances to grow and grow beyond their local communities. But this is a very good start, Mr. Ngumalo. What also required in this case would be a streamlining of all government initiatives. As you rightly said, His Majesty wants SEDCO to be visible across all Tinkhundla, and also just make sure that you streamline with the other currency schemes and quite a number of avenues through which government is actually making sure that eMaswati has access to finance so that they grow their businesses.
His, big passion around localization and, of course, entrenched by the Tinkhundla system of governance and what that means, in practical terms, learning about, decentralizing SEDCO offices now to all Tinkhundla is indeed a powerful move. But from an economic standpoint, what must be in place for this to translate into, real rural transformation?
I think what needs to happen, Mr. Ngumalo, in this case is we we need to operationalize the decentralization policy. Right now, we do have centralization happening, but we've not devolved the fiscus to that local level where you could have an Inkundla drive its local economic development with, also devolving the purse to actually make sure that there is some spending that is happening at that local level. So we need to make sure that we operationalize the decentralization policy and make sure that we do take down a bit of the managerial or the public administrative pockets down to that constituency level, and where we really just make sure that Inkundla can actually function and they do become recognized as this local government authority type of level. And then also, once we start doing that, Mr. Ngumalo, that's why you will start seeing entities like SEDCO devolving as well to that level, entities like Youth Fund, and quite a number of these initiatives that government has in place. What we need to do is to make sure that we are building that on a strong background of a decentralized system.
It's quite interesting. We've heard His Majesty say, stop being all talk and no action. What do you take from this message that was directed primarily at government institutions, the private sector, as well as, of course, or both, if you will?
I think for me, what I liked about that, remember when His Majesty was at Hosea there when he was commissioning these tractors and quite a number of initiatives funded under the RDF. What he said there that actually touched me was, can we make sure that this money gets released very fast? I think it goes back to what you're saying. Let's stop being all talk and no action. Let's put our boots on the ground. Let's push the money. Let's make sure that the Maswati have the right assistance that they need to get their businesses going there. Because if we can get that local commerce going, Mr. Ngumalo, believe me, we could have what we call a sustainable growth, and we would make sure that we do not leave no one behind. Because what we need to do as a country now is to strive for inclusive growth. And what His Majesty is doing is one of the conduits towards inclusive growth. I mean, I was quite impressed when I saw how there were logistics companies, holding companies, tractor companies that had been funded through the RDF. So now that shows that that is serious money that has been taken out and is being utilized to fund a Maswati to do something meaningful. So if we would do that, Mr. Ngumalo, we're well on our way towards inclusive growth as a country.
Absolutely. And, when you say serious money, indeed, when it's about 60 million Malangeni, particularly commissioned for what we saw there on that day. We saw GD6 Toyotas, we saw tractors, we saw TLBs, we saw trucks, and of course, the commissioning now of those two important roads around that area being tarred. I suppose we will see that coming into fruition, but I do want to understand what the economic signals that we should be looking for over the next, let's say, over the next 6 months to determine if indeed this new phase of proactive leadership is taking root. Will the people do what they are supposed to do?
So right now, Mr. Ngumalo, what we would expect to see on the first front would be the disbursement of the RDF. If you recall, that one usually takes a bit of time. So we would want to see, a bit of an improvement in the turnaround strategy in terms of how fast it takes for the money to eventually get to the people. So that would be the first one that we are seeing short to medium term. And then also what we would also need to see as well is how local authorities, including the traditional business associations, how are they restructuring their processes to make sure that Liswat who wants to start a business in the rural areas does not have to go through a lot of red tape to get that going. So we need to streamline those processes as well. to make sure that Eswatini can easily just jump into the wagon and start moving the economy. And once we start having this economic grind from the grassroots, Mr. Ngumalo, it's going to be a very good year.
Mr. Spear, do you see these actions as a turning point in the country's employment strategy? I mean, we do not want to see another cycle of intention without impact, because we see so much monies, given to the people, so much resource given to the people. But sometimes we've heard stories. I'll make an example from FinCorp, saying that some of the businesses with which they have granted haven't done well, and these people haven't even given the money back, the money that they're supposed to give back. So, do we see this thing, giving us tangible results, really? As an economist, what's your take here?
Like I said earlier on, Mr. Ngumalo, just go back to that point where I was saying we need to streamline and make sure that we give the local indigenous companies a bit of, a bit of a trampoline to jump off of. So what we need to do right now is make sure that we structure the local public works programs, for example, to actually go through the companies that we have empowered through rural development, the Rural Development Fund. So that way, what we are doing is essentially we are assisting these companies to grow while we are there still trying to find a bit of a footing. So one thing we've got to understand when we are doing with the grassroots empowerment, Mr. Ngumalo, is we need to assist them to get to a point where they're a bit stable and they're able to compete with other companies. For example, we've commissioned tractors. We've bought tractors, hauling trucks and quite a number of issues of equipment. I would assume that we're speaking of tarring a road, or we are even thinking of putting crop base there. We need to find ways of pushing such tenders to those local companies, and that will give them a bit of a trampoline to jump off of and actually launch into a bit of a sustainable path. So right now, we cannot expect sustainability without a bit of a boost. For companies to get to a point where they're a bit sustainable, you need to make sure that there is that business development support that is going to come through SEDCO, and also at the same time make sure that the companies at that local level, they are able to at least benefit from these big procurement that occurs within the government. And that's where, Mr. Ngumalo, as they continue growing with that support, the tendering support through the public purse, they will then find ways of growing to become bigger companies if the likes of SEDCO and quite a number of those business development entities also play their role to make sure that we nurture these local industries to grow to a certain level where they can be sustainable in industries.
Mr. Spear, we just saw visuals of the 7th on the Hill Hotel. It has been called for, over 200 million in Malangeni, and it's going to offer around 4,000 jobs. And it's already offering jobs right now because, it is being built. It's still under construction. And that is, my parting question to you. This particular development, does it fall under capital projects? And how fitting is it to this King's, sort of ambitious drive towards, our economic transformation?
One thing that I like about the business on the hill concept, Mr. Ngumalo, is the fact that we're seeing that injection going to happening in that rural area. Let me just call it rural for the sake of lack of a better word. But one thing that I've also admired about His Majesty while he's doing his tour of the Shuselene region is actually the fact that he has made a commitment to ensure that communities that were left behind are not going to be left behind anymore. So what we're seeing here is His Majesty reaffirming the fact that he wants Eswatini to develop and do that within an inclusive growth paradigm. So what we expect now, Mr. Ngumalo, is for private sector, for government to ensure that they follow up on this model. So yes, when you look at that concept, that is, say, another capital project that we're looking into. That's around 200 million going there. But what we need to make sure now is the local community around Eswatini is also able to benefit from the 200 million that is flowing in there. For example, you might want to purchase the bricks and quite a number of these construction material within that local economy. So we do need to restructure our procurement policy, Mr. Ngumalo, because even if it's a private procurement, you do also want a private sector company that's going to be socially aware and also execute what you call corporate social responsibility by making sure that when they come into a place to draw on profits, they do make sure that the place also benefits, because commerce does not happen in a vacuum. It happens within a society. So you want these companies to be corporate, to be socially aware and make sure that they do impart some empowerment into that local community where they are going to be drawing their funds.
Mr. Spear, thank you so much for your time. And I must say, as a Eswatini fellow, it gives me a great sense of pride to learn. I won't be going to Lavomisa only for Nisela now, and I know the tourism sector is just as excited about that. Let's go for a break. We recap on the pocket pause when we return.
Welcome back. You're still watching Nedbank Eswatini. Thank you for staying with us. Now, say goodbye to cash-only woes. Nedbank Eswatini has rolled out 2 savvy mobile payment solutions for MSMEs. Small businesses can now accept card payments anytime, anywhere with their newly launched device, Pocket Pause and Tap on Phone. Mfanelo Dlamini from Nedbank Eswatini joins me now to tell us more about this. A very good afternoon. Thank you, Mfanelo, for coming through to the program. Talk about the right banking solutions, the first of its kind in Eswatini. What is Pocket Pause and Tap on Phone?
Thank you for having us, Lulu. And again, we are very excited about this product as Nedbank.
Yeah.
This is one of the newest innovation that we've brought into the market, which is going to assist our small and medium enterprises. Pocket Pause is just a small gadget that it literally fits in your pocket, which enables payment anywhere you go. Basically, it's a device like this. If you want to touch and feel.
Portable.
Very portable, very portable. Even fits in one of your ladies' small Nyana wallets, so you can fit it anywhere you want to go.
Yeah.
This device, it's your normal point-of-sale devices, like the big ones that you see in these corporate shops, and but this one is suitable for the small ones, which you literally buy and own as a customer. It enables you to accept any form of payment from any card that is it's either your Visa card, your American Express card, or your MasterCards as well.
Okay. So is it only for SMEs, or an individual like myself can own one?
Individuals like yourself can own one as well if they are doing their informal traders, because like I said, you don't have to necessarily be registered as a trader to be doing something that will give you an extra cash there. You have those entrepreneurs that you are still on their hustling side of it that hasn't got through around registering their businesses. So with this, you can still register yours as long as you have your current account and you fill up a source of funds documentation that will enable us to onboard you on the device as well.
Okay, so is it only accessible to Nedbank clients, or clients from other banks can also get it as well?
It is accessible to Nedbank clients and clients from other banks. However, we would encourage clients to open accounts with us as well. But we do onboard other banks as long as they also have their current account and the source of funds as well.
Right, and finally, I know that it comes with convenience, obviously. So what other benefits come with this portable Pocket Pause?
Well, like you said in your introduction, it's a way of paying without cash.
Yeah.
In most instances, small business people find themselves having to discount their products. Sometimes they have to wait for days and even months from people saying that they don't have cash with them. This device here allows them to get their funds on the spot without even the client having the cash on hand.
Yeah.
Since you won't buy a product without cash. It's either it's in the bank or it's in another payment solution, but with this, it will accept the payment there and there.
Okay, so I know that anything that has to do with banks comes with charges. So are there any charges that I can expect, by using this? And also my clients that I have this, transactions with?
All right. Like I said, it's a point-of-sale device, same as those ones that are used in your shops that are already existing there. It comes with the same transactional charges as well, and the commission that is based on the client that is purchasing the device with us. So there's a 2.5 commission from every client that owns this, and the transactional charges on the customer that is buying as well. Same as all the point-of-sale solutions that are out there in the market.
Right. So let's talk about this device and your phone, because it's also called the Pocket Pause or Tap on Phone. How is it linked? Can I use my cell phone?
Part about it. Once you download the Pocket Pause device, it comes with another functionality, which is a Tap on Phone. So once you have that the Pocket Pause app on your phone, your phone literally becomes the device itself. So it's either you buy the phone or you have the Pocket Pause on you. So it's two products per se.
All right.
So on the phones, it basically needs a phone that is an Android 8 and later version, and also comes with NFC enabled. The NFC,
is it only on Android phones or iOS as well?
iOS as well, as well, exactly, and as well as iOS. But for the Tap on Phone on the iOS, you need to have what is this called? iPhone Pay? I think it's iPhone Pay. Well, it should be iPhone Pay enabled, exactly.
Okay, so what happens after buying it? Do I need to register? Does it connect immediately? Take us through the process.
The process starts with the application for the process before you even buy it, because once we deliver it to you, we are already onboarded you on it. All you have to do is download the Pocket Pause app and link it to your Bluetooth device. Then it's ready to go.
Is it only local cards or even international cards can tap on the device and on the phone?
That's another exciting about it. It accepts all local and international payments, your American Express cards, your Visa cards, and MasterCards.
Okay, so what are the requirements, from your SMEs, your individuals, in order to have this portable?
Now, for registered SMEs who are trading, we need company documents, including current trading license and their proof of residence, offices and stuff. So with all of that, we can be able to onboard them for informal traders. Say yourself, you want the gadget, you also have your side hustling. We just need you to fill in a source of funds documentation and also have a current account.
Okay. I suppose you have long queues, there's a lot of demand for this now that, MT officially launched it. How do people apply for it?
Okay, the application process can be done through our social media pages as well. We have LinkedIn, we have Facebook and X, formerly known as Twitter. We also encourage people to interact with us through our help desk line. You can email at helpdesk.co.za or call our help desk line, which is 3278-1999.
Okay, so you only allow applications on your social media pages?
Not entirely. They can also visit our branches, our branch networks, which are literally all over the regions. And also for those SME clients that already have accounts with them, they can contact their bankers immediately for the assistance for that.
All right. Important question: is it a rental device, or I can just it's a once-off payment?
No. This one it's not a rental. It's a once-off payment. You get to own this. It doesn't have any monthly service fees. The only payment that is sharing of commission, which is to 2.5% of turnover.
Okay. How much are you selling it for?
It goes for $4.99, very, very
just
cheap.
Only
$4.99. Only $4.99, and you are a walking bank.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Mfanelo. Well, there you have it. It's the Pocket Pause and Tap on Phone by Nedbank Eswatini. Do contact them on their social media pages or visit one of their branches for more information. Let's go for an ad break. We'll come back just shortly. Welcome back. You're still watching Business Watch, powered by Nedbank Eswatini. Over the past 9 years, winners of the Entrepreneur of the Year Awards have generated an impressive turnover exceeding 102 million emalangeni. The cash prizes distributed during this period have amounted to over 2 million emalangeni, directly impacting the growth and development of small and medium enterprises across the country. To understand the significance of these awards in promoting entrepreneurship and economic development, we spoke with Ketiwe Mema, who is the Communications Officer at the Small Enterprises Development Company. Mema explained that the Entrepreneur of the Year Awards, launched in 2002, aim to recognize and reward excellence in entrepreneurship, providing a platform for businesses to gain recognition and access to resources that fuel their growth.
Siyabonga kakhulu Khethiwe kuba nathi elihlelweni Nedbank Business Watch lamuhla. Lesifisa kuva indzaba yekwe ukuthi njengoba sekasukumisiwe ama-Entrepreneur of the Year Awards, engabe kule minyaka lengu-19 lama awards solo akhona, nguyiphi inzima la idlalile kuthuthukisa imabhizinisi lapha eveni?
Since 2002, since the start of the Entrepreneur of the Year Awards in 2002 by the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade, we have seen so much growth as the program has received a participation from emabhizinisi lakhona lakangwane. We siyabona ukuthi annually sibane growth lethidi. Nangabekisa nje ukuthi winners efo akhulile. From 2013 to 2024, which is 9 years back, we have about 162 which is the cash prizes for those years. And during those years, we have gotten also the grand prize, which is the car. So siyabona ke ukuthi lehlelo liyakhula kakhulu and bosomabhizinisi balibona ukuthi lumcoka kufuna balingenele. And ke masibuka ke le growth in terms of employment creation, which is one of the biggest issues in the country, ukuthi bosomabhizinisi abasite ba-create le misebenzi so that we curb the unemployment in the country. So siyabona ke ukuthi nasibuka lama statistics siyabona ukuthi about 1,326 jobs have been created through lama business laws.
Engabe ngiphi inzima lakayidlalile lama awards lawa kuthuthukisa bona labo somabhizinisi laba lese babuwinile? Engabe niyababona yini mhlambe sebasebenza netinkampani letinkulu la eveni, noma ke bakhona ukuthi umkhicido wabo bawuthumele ngaphandle kwelive?
Yebo, kukhona laba bayakhula bosomabhizinisi labathola laba benefita kule hlelo la Entrepreneur of the Year Awards. Labaningi nje bacale nabangenele le hlelo ukhanza ukuthi lama products abo asesemancane basakhicita kancane. Ngibekise nje ngaluna hair and body beba nema products lamancane nabacala, but with the mali labayitholako le bayakhona ukuthi ba expand kulama products abo laba wakhicitako. Lo munye nje nangabekisa co-creators naye ukhicita ama products akhe lamahle. So yakhona nyalo ukuthi ngaleti mali latitfolile latiwinile kulo Entrepreneur of the Year uyakhona ukuthi expand. So wenda nema products la very interesting uthengisela ngisho tinkampani la kangwane. Imali ke labo somabhizinisi labayitfolile nje sibuka lo 9 years siyayibona ukuthi ijake ku 2.5 million. Ngiyo ke lesi labayitfolile bosomabhizinisi labakhona ukuthi bayi-reinvest kulama business abo. Ngiko ke sibona ukuthi lama business vela ayakhula impela, siyabona ngale employment ukuthi icreatekile because of le reinvestment labayitholako kule hlelo.
Kuyevakala Khethiwe soyithinzile indzaba yokuthi kukhona amathuba emisebenzi lakhiwa ngulebo somabhizinisi labawinile. Njengoba live laseSwatini vele kulamalanga lisemkhankasweni lomkhulu wekuthi kwakheke amathuba emisebenzi ikakhulu kubamfla abasha. Yini le niyendako kulomncintiswano lona kuqinisekisa ukuthi bamfla abasha nabomake baba ingcenye yawo, ikakhulu ngobe imibiko yelitiko letemabhizinisi nje iyachaza lokho ukuthi vele 70% wema SMEs
abomake ikakhulukazi bomake labasetindzaweni letisemakhaya niyetama yini ukuthi nibafake nabo ukuthi babe yingxenye yalo mncintiswano?
We try to make sure ukuthi sivele sifika kuto tonke tifundza talakhaya talaKangwane. Njengoba nje sinema-road shows, ema-road shows ethu akanikiseka ho akanikiseshiselweni naselibonjeni kanye nakamanzini. Asigcini nje embabane nakamanzini kuphela. Kephana njengoba bengibekisile ukuthi kunamake lowinile eshiselweni kulomnyaka lophelile lophila ngekukhubateka. Kusho ukuthini? Kusho ukuthi sikhonile ukuthi sifike eshiselweni sibamotivate le makhaya sifike sibamotivate ukuthi bakhombise ukuthi kunelihlelo lolinjena labangakhona nabo ukuthi balingenele. Leli hlelo leli-ke alikhethi, lunema-categories. Lama-categories afaka ekhathi women-owned businesses, afaka ekhathi people living with disabilities, afaka ekhathi the youth-owned businesses. Sivulele lonke liswati ukuthi likhone ukungenela leli hlelo. Singabavaleli ngaphandle ngoba siyathi ukuthi boma ngalesinye isikhathi uyokhanze ukuthi abakhoni ukuthi bathole lesibindi sekuthi bende ibhizinisi ngacophelweni lelisetulu. Kungako le program yethu i-make sure ukuthi ayi-target nje laba bosomabhizinisi laba sebasimeme kakhulu, kephana i-targeta nalaba labatisebentako, including bake-handicraft, because siyathi ukuthi bomake labaningi bayakhona ukuthi bende imisebenzi yetandla. So nabo ikhona i-category yabo. So lokusita kakhulu ukuthi sikuvete le information lena noma silihambise leli vangeli leli ku-encourage lamaswati la kule tinhlangothi leti. Siyasitakala ngalama-road shows as well ukuthi sihambe silishumayela kuleti godi letine taKangwane, sihambe silishumayela leli vangeli siba-encourage ukuthi nabo bangenele lihlelo leli ukuze batatiwinele. Kulo mnyaka lophelile nje 2024 sinaye imake lophela ngekukhubateka lo wakhona ukuthi atiwinele the cash prizes eshiselweni.
So itekile khethiwe indzaba yekuthi lamabhizinisi lawa lake awina kulo mncintiswano lamanye awo enda seka konke in the past 9 years i-turnover ila ku 102 million. Uyasho ukuthi sebawinile labaningi imali leseniyisebenzisile kule minyaka lena lesengiyishido i-over 2 million. Kepha-ke ngifuna kwathi ukuthi going forward engabe nibuke ukuthi nitawuthuthukisa kangakanani lo mncintiswano lona?
Kuthuthukisa lo hlelo lolu lusime kakhulu etimalini. So masikhona kuthola emabhizinisi latawukhona ukusichaza kulo hlelo lelu, siyakhona ukuthi lithuthuke lo hlelo lube likhulu futhi liphinde libe ngcono. Angibekise nje kulo mnyaka lona sicale indlela lensha yokuthi sicele laba benefitile recently kule Entrepreneur of the Year, lama recent beneficiaries ngifaka ekhathi Datamatics lowinile last year. So siyabacela nabo ukuthi bede baphose esivivaneni. Lokhu-ke kwenta ukuthi leli hlelo lethu lube ngcono, lithole futhi nale funding lengcono yokuthi sikhone futhi kuyofika le khashani la khona sifisa khona kufika ukuthi nabo balati lo hlelo lolo. So kuyasita lokuthi leti nkampani tisisike sichaze ngalama sponsorships so khona ukuthi le hlelo libe ngcono kusasa.
Bengingafisa khethiwe kwati ukuthi engabe kulamabhizinisi lekawinile over the years ngabe angakanani lawo lesingathi lamuhla solo emile futhi ayathuthuka. Kepha-ke ngenxa yokuthi isikhathi sami sincane ngidawuphinde ngibuye kaSetco ngitokuvane kwekuthi nangabe lo mfu sekawinile engabe vele nimsupporta kanjani. Thank you so much for joining us today on Nedbank Business Watch.
All right, so that was business journalist Nelsiwe Ntlangamadla having a discussion with Sedco's communications officer Ketiwe Mema on the benefits of SMEs of the Entrepreneur of the Year Awards, which have been recently launched by Sedco. We go for an ad break and we're joined by Zibu for today's market analysis. Welcome back. You're still watching Nedbank Business Watch. Zibu from Nedbank joins us now for today's market analysis. This is the final segment for today's episode. Very good afternoon, Zibu. Welcome back. It's been long.
Very long.
It's been quite a while. Yeah. So what do we expect to move markets this week?
Yeah, so this week has been an interesting week. It always is. We've seen the rand strengthen quite a bit since Monday for two main reasons. The first being the Purchasing Managers Index, PMI, which was released and indicated some stabilization in the private sector in South Africa. And this is after some unstable times in the past couple of months. So that gave it some strength. But also, Eskom indicated that they have a positive or optimistic outlook on their power cuts for winter. They expect that for the next 4 months, they won't have any power cuts. So that also then pushed the rand and gave it a bit of strength. We're also expecting South Africa's inflation numbers. In fact, they came out yesterday at 2.7% for March, and this is down from 3.2% in February, which is very interesting to see because this is a 5-year low, and it's stimulated by the decreasing oil prices, but also it indicates that the SARB at their next interest rate decision, which will be later this month, probably in the last week, they're more likely to cut interest rates, mainly because 2.7 is way below their inflation target, which is between 3% and 6%. And also, South Africa's been suffering from a really slow economic growth period. So in order to stimulate that, it would make sense for the SARB to cut interest rates. But really, we're waiting to see what they actually do during the interest rate decision, and just so we can have an idea what happens next.
All right, so just before we get into the figures, let's move on to international news. Just give us an update on what's happening in the US. We know that Trump's been trending for the past, I don't know, months since he has been re-elected as president. US and China will be having a meeting soon. How soon? Is it this week, next week? When can we expect this meeting, and what will be the contents of this meeting?
So they're announced to be having a meeting this week. I think over the weekend, and the expectation from the market is that we'll see some de-escalation in the tensions regarding the tariff wars. But really, we can only hope. We're all waiting to see what the outcomes are. But I think that is the market expectation right now.
So I suppose investors are also cautious, with this meeting about to take place with the China and US.
Yeah, they definitely are. You'll see in the numbers that we're about to show, some of them are also starting to indicate the caution around
Let's just get straight to our figures today, starting with currencies. You did say that the rand is strengthening today. Take us through today's currencies.
The rand currently is trading at against the US dollar at 18.2887. The pound against the SZL or the rand is trading at 24.3798, and the euro against the SZL is trading at 20.7726. So you can see that the rand is showing a bit of strength against all major currencies due to the reasons that I just mentioned.
Okay, so it's all green today. So just moving on to commodities, oil has been dropping for weeks now. What's happening? What's causing this?
So the oil prices, it's been dropping, but we did see though that there's been a little bit of a increase, but very brief, and it's mainly because OPEC announced that they will be increasing their production for the second consecutive month, which is really interesting because there were already supply cautions or supply worries in the market. Another thing that affected the price of Brent crude is the meeting between the US and China. That's expected to happen this weekend, and the outcomes of that, everyone's worried and cautious around that, and that will definitely affect the price of Brent crude. But it hasn't shown a definitive direction yet, but we did see it tick up a little bit. Currently trading at $62.87 per barrel. That is Brent crude oil. On the side of gold, it is trading at $3,389.39 per ounce. And even with the price of gold, you'll remember that in the past couple of weeks, the price of gold has been going up. Also linked to Trump's tariff wars, because gold tends to be a safe haven when there's uncertainty. So with the meeting now between China and the US, if it does result in de-escalation, then the safe haven demand for gold will decrease. So we also saw that in the price of gold, it sort of retreated a bit after that discovery was made of the meeting, because that will likely affect the demand for gold, but also the price of gold if there's reduced demand.
Okay, now Trump is doing, it's just shaking up the whole world. So moving on to equities, with all that's happening in the US, they seem quite, it's like they're suffering. S&P 500 red zone today. Take us through.
Yeah, no, they've been suffering for a while. It's been a volatile time, especially for the S&P 500. It's also shown some losses, even as you can see on the screen. It closed in the red yesterday, mainly dragged down by the healthcare index. But this close happened before the announcement of the meeting between China and the US. So we're optimistic to see what might happen with the S&P 500 after that meeting, if it does ease tensions, because maybe investors will be more eager and more willing to invest in US companies. So we'll see what the impacts on that S&P 500 will be. On the side of the FTSE, it's showing marginal strength, but very marginal, 0.01%. But that will probably be impacted this afternoon after the Fed interest rate decision, which I should have mentioned this at the beginning, which we're expecting a Fed interest rate decision this afternoon. The expectation by the market is that interest rates will remain unchanged. So we'll see how that impacts the FTSE this afternoon. On the side of the JSE All Share Index, also showing very marginal losses. It's held quite steady for a couple of days, but we're also eager to see what the impacts of the change in the gold price might be on that.
Yeah, so we're just waiting to see what US and China will discuss. We're anticipating for that meeting that will take place soon.
Eagerly anticipating.
All right. Well, there you have it. Today's figures with Zibu from Nedbank Eswatini. This is the final segment of today's episode from Zibu. We'll take a break. We come back and wrap up the show. It's Fiso.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
"57 minutes after 2. Thank you for staying with us. This has been Nedbank Business Watch. It has been a great show.
It has been, yes. If you still haven't gotten your pocket purse, go straight to Nedbank branches right now and get it. Especially if you own an online shop, for if you're selling clothes, if you're selling wigs, or you're doing people's hair. It's quite convenient.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for staying with us. Have yourself a good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Make better money choices. Choose a bank that takes your money seriously. Business Watch was brought to you by Nedbank.